Michael Irvin stood in the lobby of a Phoenix Marriott in February 2023, about to lose everything he had rebuilt. A brief conversation with a hotel employee would cost him his Super Bowl coverage gig and trigger a 7-month suspension from the NFL Network. For a man who had already survived drug arrests, assault allegations, and career-ending injuries, this felt like the final blow. But the real story of how the Playmaker destroyed his legacy started decades earlier, in a motel room filled with cocaine and bad decisions. Before the scandals consumed his image, Michael Irvin was football royalty. The Dallas Cowboys drafted him in 1988, and he became one-third of the triplets, alongside Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith. 3 Super Bowl championships, 5 Pro Bowl selections, nearly 12,000 receiving yards. The kind of numbers that make Hall of Fame voters smile, which they did in 2007 when they inducted him. After hanging up his cleats, Irvin seamlessly transitioned into broadcasting, landing analyst positions with ESPN and the NFL Network. He had everything a retired athlete could want, except the discipline to keep it. The 2023 Marriott incident revealed a pattern that had followed Irvin for 30 years. According to the hotel employee, he made sexually explicit comments and said he would find her later during her work week. Irvin claimed this was wildly misconstrued as a threat to hunt someone down, or worse. He admitted to drinking that night and couldn't fully recall the conversation details. The NFL Network pulled him immediately from their biggest event of the year. Irvin responded by filing a $100 million defamation lawsuit against Marriott and the accuser. His legal team fought to release surveillance footage from the hotel, and when it finally came out, the video showed something far less dramatic than the initial complaint suggested. The interaction lasted about 2 minutes. Irvin briefly touched the woman's arm or elbow, and they ended with a handshake. An eyewitness named Bryn Davis said the employee initiated contact and the conversation appeared cordial. The visual evidence seemed to support Irvin's version of events. But here's where things get interesting. And before we dig deeper into what happened next, make sure you hit that subscribe button. This is exactly the kind of story that shows how celebrities navigate controversy. And I want to know what you think. Drop a comment below telling me whether you believe settlements mean guilt or just smart reputation management. Because what Irvin did after getting that surveillance footage says everything about his priorities. Instead of taking the case to trial and proving his innocence in court, Irvin voluntarily dismissed his $100 million lawsuit. Marriott immediately released a statement saying the dismissal came without any payment from them. The whole thing wrapped up in a confidential settlement by September 2023. Think about that for a second. If you have video evidence supporting your story and you just filed a massive defamation suit, why would you drop it? Unless there was something else going on. Legal experts point out that celebrity defendants often settle civil cases to avoid discovery processes that might expose other embarrassing details. The quick settlement allowed Irvin to return to NFL Network that same month, getting his lucrative contract back without the mess of a public trial. This wasn't the first time Irvin chose settlements over courtroom vindication. Back in 2007, a woman accused him of sexual battery and rape at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel in Hollywood, Florida. She claimed Irvin got her drunk and assaulted her in a hotel room, with another man forcing her to perform oral sex. Seminole tribal police were notified, but the woman signed a waiver of prosecution. The state attorney declined to file criminal charges because she waited more than 2 weeks to report the incident, which meant no physical evidence existed, but she still filed a civil lawsuit in 2010. Irvin countered with his own $100 million defamation suit. Both cases disappeared in a confidential, out-of-court settlement in January 2011. Then there was the 2017 Fort Lauderdale investigation. A 27-year-old woman went to Irvin's room at the W Hotel and later told police she felt drugged and believed she had been raped. She said she remembered fighting Irvin off before waking up hours later as he was checking out. Police obtained a search warrant and collected bedding, towels, a bottle of Patron tequila, water bottles, glass cups, and a sealed box of Magnum condoms from room 2004. Irvin denied everything. The investigation closed in July 2017 with no criminal charges filed. The pattern becomes impossible to ignore when you look at all 4 sexual misconduct allegations spanning 3 decades. Only one of those cases has a definitive outcome, and it's the 1996 allegation that was proven completely false. A woman named Nina Sharavan accused Irvin and teammate Eric Williams of sexual assault. The media ran with the story, overshadowing the Cowboys' playoff run that year. But investigators eventually determined the claims were fabricated. Sharavan pleaded guilty to perjury and filing a false police report. She spent 90 days in jail and paid a $1,500 fine. That verified false accusation became a powerful tool for Irvin's defense attorneys in every subsequent case, letting them argue he was a repeated victim of money-motivated liars. But the sexual misconduct allegations only tell part of the story about how how Irvin destroyed his career. The real damage came from his documented drug problems and violent behavior. March 1996 was when everything fell apart. Police raided a motel room in Irving, Texas, after the manager complained about a loud party involving possible prostitution and drug use. Inside, officers found Irvin,
former teammate Alfredo Roberts, and 2 topless dancers. They also found cocaine, marijuana, drug paraphernalia, and sex toys scattered around the room. Initially, police only arrested one woman who claimed the drugs were hers. Dallas County Prosecutor Norm Kinney publicly criticized that decision. Eventually, Irvin was indicted on 2 felony counts of drug possession, facing up to 20 years in state prison. Surveillance video later showed him discussing cocaine use in a vehicle. The evidence was overwhelming. Irvin pleaded no contest to felony cocaine possession, getting 4 years of deferred probation and a $10,000 fine in exchange for dropping the marijuana charges. NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue suspended him for the first 5 games of the 1996 season, costing him over $500,000 in salary. The penalty was unusually harsh for a first-time substance offense. Other players typically got 4-game suspensions. Tagliabue explained the extra severity in a letter to Irvin, writing that he served as a highly visible symbol of the Dallas Cowboys and the NFL, and was an unusually prominent example for good and for bad for young people. The league decided to make an example out of their star player. The chaos surrounding the 1996 drug case went beyond typical legal trouble. Someone tried to extort $119,000 from Irvin in connection with the case. Then things got truly bizarre. A Dallas police officer involved in the investigation was arrested for hiring a hitman to kill Irvin. Johnny Hernandez, a decorated member of the Dallas police force who had been subpoenaed to testify in Irvin's drug trial, was charged with criminal solicitation of capital murder and an unrelated bribery charge. He later took a plea deal and served 6 years in prison. The fact that a cop tried to have Irvin murdered elevates the 1996 scandal beyond a simple drug offense and suggests the kind of dangerous criminal elements that surrounded his lifestyle. While serving his probation, Irvin got into another violent incident in July 1998. At the Cowboys training camp in Wichita Falls, Texas, he argued with offensive guard Everett McIver over who got priority for a haircut. The dispute escalated into a brawl, and Irvin grabbed barber scissors and cut McIver in the neck. McIver needed stitches for a 2-inch wound that reportedly narrowly missed his carotid artery. The incident became known as Scissorgate. Because Irvin was on probation for a felony, any intentional assault would have violated his parole and sent him to prison. State District Judge Manny Alvarez investigated and ruled the fight was an accident. He concluded that a little wrestling match started out innocently and someone got hurt, finding no evidence of criminal activity or intentional assault. McIver chose not to press charges. Widespread rumors suggested Cowboys owner Jerry Jones brokered a private 6-figure settlement with McIver to prevent him from pursuing the matter and potentially revoking Irvin's probation. McIver publicly denied receiving money, but the swift legal clearance demonstrated the immense organizational resources leveraged to protect a star player from incarceration. Even after completing his probation and retiring from football, Irvin couldn't stay out of trouble. In November 2005, police pulled him over in Plano, Texas for speeding. They discovered an outstanding warrant for an unpaid speeding ticket and searched his vehicle. Officers found drug paraphernalia, described as a pipe and plastic bags containing marijuana residue. Irvin, working as an ESPN analyst at the time, claimed the paraphernalia belonged to a friend who had recently left rehab and stayed at his home for Thanksgiving.
He said he put the pipe in his car to dispose of it before his children could find it. ESPN suspended him for 1 week, specifically citing his failure to immediately notify management about the arrest. Looking at the complete timeline, a clear picture emerges of someone who repeatedly put himself in situations that threatened everything he had built. The 1996 felony conviction stands as his most serious legal consequence, resulting in probation and a harsh NFL suspension, but the subsequent allegations
allegations in 2007, 2017, and 2023 all avoided criminal charges. Prosecutors declined to file in those cases due to lack of evidence or delayed reporting. Instead, everything funneled into civil litigation and confidential settlements. For celebrity defendants like Irvin, civil litigation becomes a reputation management trap. The criminal standard of proof protects them from jail time in unclear cases, but fighting civil claims through discovery carries huge risks. The lower standard of proof in civil court, combined with the possibility of embarrassing details becoming public, makes settlements attractive even when defendants maintain innocence and have seemingly favorable evidence. By settling the civil suits in 2011 and 2023, Irvin prioritized certainty and swift returns to his lucrative broadcasting career over the ambiguity of prolonged legal battles. It's a calculated business decision that protects income streams but leaves questions permanently unanswered in the public eye. This pattern of civil resolution without criminal convictions or definitive verdicts ensures continuous controversy follows him. And yet, despite everything, Irvin maintained his high-profile career. He continues working as an NFL analyst, offering commentary on his beloved Cowboys, and securing corporate partnerships like his ongoing association with DraftKings.
His ability to sustain commercial viability and professional standing, despite documented legal issues and repeated public scandals, shows the immense institutional loyalty afforded to charismatic, elite athletes. Michael Irvin's story isn't just about one man's fall from grace. It's about how fame and talent can insulate someone from consequences that would end most careers. It's about the difference between criminal and civil justice and how wealthy defendants navigate that system. And it's about the uncomfortable truth that our sports heroes often have darker sides we choose to overlook because we love what they did on the field. Before you click away, let me know in the comments whether you think Irvin deserves his continued platform, or if his pattern of behavior should have ended his broadcasting career years ago. And if you found this breakdown valuable, subscribe, because we're diving into more stories that expose the gap between public personas and private realities. The Playmaker may have won 3 Super Bowls, but his real legacy might be showing us exactly how much we're willing to forgive when someone entertains us on Sundays.